Gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another video. And man oh man, do I have a good one for you guys today. So first and foremost, I did have a different video planned for today, a new action RPG on Nintendo Switch that I want to talk about and showcase that I'm having a little bit of issues with right now. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably have a gist of what that game is, but a certain article has been brought to my attention on Twitter a couple of times now by a lot of my longtime loyal followers and everything too. So you know, this article's caught my attention a bit, and I find it very convenient that this article has surfaced right around the time of Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. I just find that very interesting because so I want to go back and give some back text before, you know, we just jump right into the subject. So if you haven't heard, it's been rumored for a long time now. I'm going to say a good 2 or 3 years, maybe a little bit more, that Final Fantasy XIV was going to make its way to Xbox One. And a lot of us, including myself, were really sure that it was going to happen this year, sometime probably around E3. And E3 was my best prediction because with Square Enix's stellar show and with Shadowbringers right around the corner at the time, it would have been the perfect opportunity to announce it. Like, oh, yo, we got this brand new dope expansion, and by the way, we're adding a whole nother platform to our player base. Pam! Pow! You know, that sounds like the logical thing to do here, right? But instead, that didn't happen, and fans are, you know, just still left wondering what's going on. Now, there's been rumors, there's been, you know, talks several times that, you know, the head of the Final Fantasy XIV project has been in talks with Microsoft and Phil Spencer and things like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring up this article to you guys that suggests what's causing the problem and what's still the issue is here. Now, granted, you know, when the rumor first popped up years ago, and this was before Spencer was in charge, keep in mind, supposedly it was Microsoft blocking the thing for crossplay, which I can believe because there was a time, especially before Phil Spencer took over, that Microsoft were against crossplay with PlayStation or any other platform. But since Spencer's been in charge, they have taken a whole new leap on it. It's kind of like, you know, their brand representation. But according to what's going on here, according to this article, it's saying otherwise. And I'm going to go ahead and read you guys the title here. It says, Final Fantasy XIV director says Microsoft is holding up MMO crossplay. Now, I'm going to read you guys the article, and then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on it, and I'm going to give you guys the side from, you know, one side, and then, you know, from the other side, if you get what I'm saying, like the good end and the bad end of this, because I think there's two sides to this, and I'm personally having a lot of difficulty believing everything that's in here. But let's go ahead and read it, talk about it, and then, you know, I can express my thoughts afterwards. So Final Fantasy XIV has crossplay across PlayStation 4 and PC, but director Naoki Yoshida says Microsoft restrictions are holding up support or a port on Xbox One. That's especially notable since Final Fantasy XI was a cross-platform pioneer years earlier, letting players join up across PS2, Xbox 360, and PC, and that Sony has been the most recent cross-play supporter in the past. 2 months ago, I discussed with Phil Spencer, and this is what's translated. Yoshida tells WCC F-Tech, I have explained this before, but we are prepared to do cross-play at any time. There are 2 regulations from Microsoft which stand in the way of making cross-play feasible. Simply speaking, an FPS-style game has no issues with those 2 regulations. If we made an FPS game, then we would already have crossplay. The translation's a bit rough, but Yoshida says there are 2 main restrictions. One is that players with different platforms cannot chat with each other in-game. The other is that you cannot make a community with plays on a different platform. You can't form a guild, you can't enter a link shell, and no free company. Yoshida says, I would like to have Microsoft change their regulations, and this is not limited to Microsoft, but there are many players who only have crossplay experience with FPS games, without allowances for the communication required for an MMO. Yoshida says FF14 won't go to Xbox. Yet there are already examples of some games getting by what seem to be the same issues. Dauntless recently launched with full crossplay across all 3 platforms with no apparent restrictions on cross-platform chat. Dauntless does, however, allow players to opt out of crossplay, which may be the reason it's treated indifferently. Across the board, console makers haven't been upfront with players about what restrictions are in place for crossplay, but it sounds like Final Fantasy XIV's developers simply don't want to split the player base by making crossplay optional according to apparent Microsoft regulations. And the same concern is likely to hinder cross-platform support for other MMORPGs. Alright, so let's go ahead and discuss, you know, what everything that this article says and stuff like that, because now I'm going to go ahead and give my honest thoughts here, and then I'm going to play it from, you know, Microsoft's side, and then I'm going to play it from, you know, Square Enix's side, because there's two different ways this can go. And I'm going to give you guys some example. My personal opinion, I think this article is wrong, and I think, you know, whoever is putting this information out there doesn't have their information proper, or you know, just something's off, because it even says so in the article. It says that games like Dauntless, which recently launched, don't have a restriction on chatting with other platforms. Now guys, now everyone's going to act like, you know, because Dauntless just came out, well, you know, it's new, so they probably just recently lifted the restriction and yada yada yada. No. Let's rewind back a little bit, shall we? Earlier this year, Realm Royale, which is a shooter, has crossplay with PC, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. However, the game does not have voice chat support yet built into it. So I do believe that game will, you know, stand with the article's point. Secondly, we have Paladins. Now Paladins, I believe that does support voice chat. However, you can communicate with your team through other ways in Paladins, and Paladins does support crossplay between all three platforms. Now, if you want to get technical, there's one more game in the mix of these three as well. There is Smite. Now, the reason I want to use Smite, because this is a really good example. Number one, Smite's not a shooter, it's a MOBA. Number two, Smite allows communication between all three platforms. And number three, Smite allows you to have multi-platform guilds. And do you guys want to know how I know that? Because I have a multi-platform guild in Smite, where I can invite players from Switch and players from PC on my Xbox One. Or if I make a guild officer or whatever on Switch, they can invite players from PC or Xbox One as well. You just have to add them via the in-game system. And also, not to mention, guys, like it says in the article, Dauntless as well. My Dauntless guild is multi-platform between Xbox, PS4, and PC. Now, in the article, they did state that you can that some games do have exceptions because you can shut crossplay on and off. Now, I'm going to give the article credit for that, because with every game I mentioned, that's true. But when it comes down to it, what about Fortnite? Fortnite once upon a time had an option to turn crossplay off, but I'm not sure if it's there anymore. So if anybody knows that, if any of you guys on this channel are avid Fortnite players, be sure to let me know. But I'm pretty sure Fortnite's crossplay is pretty much on 24/7 now. And Fortnite, remember guys, Fortnite has a PvE side where you can communicate, either voice chat or text chat, with every single platform. And then, not to mention, Microsoft also has Phantasy Star Online 2, which is going to feature crossplay and guild and communication support between Xbox One and PC, and most likely the Nintendo Switch when that version drops as well. So me personally, I'm having a really hard time believing that Microsoft's standards, as open as they've been with crossplay, are what's truly blocking this. But this article is stating otherwise. Now, the only other thing that does bug me here is if these people that made this article are also going by the old information that Yoshida put out years ago when he was having trouble getting Microsoft to cooperate with crossplay. What I'm wondering is if they're using that old information and putting it in their article today, because I'm really finding it difficult to believe that Microsoft is just now going to put magical restrictions on there, especially for a game that they know that their community wants, when they've been so willing to work with developers, and them themselves have even hounded Sony about opening up for crossplay. Larry Herb himself literally called PlayStation out at one of their XO conferences, saying, PlayStation, you know our number, give us a call. They have reached out to them for several games, one of those games including Minecraft, their own published title. Now that we have my thoughts out, I do want to play the other side, which says that, you know, this could be a true thing. I highly doubt it, guys. I'm sorry, but it may sound crazy to a lot of you, but I personally think that, you know, a big factor is missing in this whole thing. That's personally what I think. But when it comes to the business side of things, Microsoft could be denying Final Fantasy XIV to come to their platform because, like I stated earlier, Phantasy Star Online 2 is going to be their MMO coming to Xbox One. It's developed by Sega, but it's published by them. Yes, it's going to be coming to multiple platforms, but Microsoft will be making money off of that game. When it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, there's not really much revenue to be gained besides the game and the expansions they sell out of the store. Remember, Final Fantasy XIV's in-game market is based off of a store that you have to use on a PC called the MOG Station. You can't buy things for Final Fantasy XIV out of the PlayStation Store. And if the game came to Xbox, it would work the same way. Same thing for when you play it on PC. So that's one thing. Number two, the possibility of these other games giving people the option to opt in and out of crossplay could be that could be right, but I don't know. That just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. You know why the fact of a game having the ability to restrict its player base matters. I personally just don't see that, but I'm saying, you know, that's a plausible reason. And the third and foremost possibility is that maybe, you know, Microsoft they could be switching their stances, going into this next generation with a whole new mindset. They could be getting full of themselves the way that, you know, Sony's been for a while. But I don't know, guys. Those are the only three logical reasons I could think of for them doing this. But I'm gonna say this now and give my thoughts. I highly doubt that this is the full story of what's going on here with this whole Final Fantasy XIV Xbox One crossplay thing, because the timing and everything about this is just way too convenient. This article magically, you know, pops right up after we had the Final Fantasy XIV Xbox One rumors. They didn't, you know, come true at E3 or during, you know, the Shadowbringers time like a lot of us thought they were. And now it's literally just the same response that Yoshida was getting 3 or 4 years ago when he tried reaching out to Microsoft about this. You know, the new president of Xbox, Phil Spencer, is giving the same response that the old guy gave, which is the complete opposite of the stance that he believes in for gaming. Just ask yourselves, guys, does that make sense to any of you? I don't know. Put your thoughts down in the comments below. That's my take on it, but let me know what you guys think. Anyway, guys, y'all enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button for me. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. It's your boy Tanek127, and please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace out, take care.